Dormant Legacy. Dr. Elara Frost stared at the genetic sequence projection hovering in the air before her, its blue light casting eerie shadows across her laboratory. 3 years of research, thousands of hours analyzing the supposedly junk regions of human DNA, and finally she had found it, a pattern where none should exist. "It's not random," she whispered, rotating the 3D model with a flick of her wrist. The non-coding regions of DNA, dismissed by most of the scientific community as evolutionary leftovers, contained sequences that were far too organized, too mathematical to be accidents of nature. Elara's discovery had begun as a side project at the Global Genomics Institute, sparked by anomalies she'd noticed while studying adaptation patterns across species, strange correlations between certain genetic markers and exceptional human abilities, athletes with inexplicable endurance, individuals who had survived supposedly fatal accidents, children demonstrating cognitive capabilities well beyond established human limits. Her office door slid open with a soft hiss. Dr. Julian Way, her department head, stepped inside, his usual pleasant expression replaced by something more guarded. "Elara, the Institute board wants to see your recent findings," he said, his voice carefully neutral. "They're particularly interested in your research into non-coding regions." "I haven't prepared a formal presentation yet," Elara replied, instinctively minimizing the holographic display. Something in Julian's demeanor triggered warning bells in her mind. After 7 years working together, she knew when something was off. "It's not a presentation." Julian hesitated. "The request came from above the board. The Global Security Council, actually." After Julian left, Elara sat motionless, contemplating her options. Her discovery was bigger than she had initially realized. Sequences embedded in human DNA that appeared to be artificially suppressed. Genetic locks preventing the expression of capabilities that should be impossible. And now, powerful people were taking interest. She made her decision in seconds, initiating an encrypted backup of her research to a quantum storage drive disguised as a simple pendant on her necklace. Whatever was happening, she wouldn't walk into it unprepared. Later that evening, as she was preparing to leave, a message appeared on her private terminal. No sender information, just coordinates and a time. 23 o'clock, the abandoned observatory on Mount Wilson. The message ended with, "Your discovery isn't the first. Others have died for less. Trust no one." Against her better judgment, Elara went. The old observatory was a skeletal dome silhouetted against the night sky. As she approached, a figure emerged from the shadows, tall, gaunt, with eyes that reflected starlight like polished obsidian. "Dr. Frost," the stranger said, "I'm Professor Aaron Lewis. Until last year, I held your position at the Institute." "That's impossible," Elara countered. "Dr. Way has been department head for a decade." "Official records are easily altered," Lewis replied, a bitter smile crossing his face. "I disappeared when I got too close to what you found." He produced the small device and activated it. A field of static surrounded them. "Signal jammers. The sequences you discovered aren't natural. They were engineered and deliberately suppressed." "By whom?" Elara demanded. "Not by whom. By what?" Lewis corrected. "They've been watching us for millennia. Some call them the archivists. They maintain genetic equilibrium across developing species. And humans," he paused, "humans are their greatest concern." Lewis explained how he had compiled evidence of extraterrestrial intervention in human evolution, genetic modifications dating back thousands of generations, designed to limit human potential in specific ways. "But why?" Elara asked, struggling to process the implications. "Because what sleeps in our DNA terrifies them," Lewis answered. "We were weapons once, Dr. Frost. Living weapons created by a species long extinct, designed to evolve and adapt continuously. The archivists didn't exterminate us. They couldn't bring themselves to commit another genocide. Instead, they installed safeguards, genetic limitations to keep our true capabilities dormant." A distant sound interrupted them, the whir of approaching drones. Lewis' expression hardened. They're coming. The people who will meet you tomorrow aren't from any security council. They're handlers for the archivists. He pressed a data chip into her hand. Find Commander Vance at the Southern Cross Military Research Base. Show him this. He'll help you. Before she could respond, Lewis sprinted toward the tree line. Seconds later, blinding spotlights flooded the area. Ilara ran in the opposite direction, using the observatory's bulk for cover. The meeting the next day was indeed a trap. The moment Ilara entered the conference room and saw the three individuals in gray suits flanking a woman with unnaturally perfect posture, she knew. "Dr. Frost," the woman said without offering a hand. "I'm Director Hale. We need to discuss the security implications of your research." "What security implications?" Ilara asked, remaining standing despite the chair offered to her. "I'm studying genetic expression patterns. You're identifying suppression mechanisms in human DNA that were established for humanity's protection," Hale countered. "Mechanisms that maintain genetic stability." The revelation stunned Ilara. "You know about the sequences. You know they're artificial. What matters is that your research ends today," Hale stated flatly. "All data will be confiscated, and you'll be reassigned to our facility in Nevada." Ilara's mind raced. They weren't just aware of the locks in human DNA, they were actively protecting them. But why? And who exactly was this woman working for? "I need time to consider," she stalled. "That's not an option, Dr. Frost." One of the suited men moved toward her, and instinct took over. Ilara slammed her palm against the emergency evacuation alarm on the wall. As sirens blared and confusion erupted, she slipped out during the chaos, her research secure around her neck. 3 days later, she found herself at the perimeter of the Southern Cross Military Research Base. Getting inside proved easier than expected. A simple claim about having an appointment with Commander Vance, followed by presenting Lewis' data chip at security. Commander Alexis Vance was not what Ilara had expected. Young for her rank, with close-cropped dark hair and eyes that seemed to evaluate and dismiss threats in the same glance. "Professor Lewis sent you," Vance asked after scanning the chip, her voice pitched low even in the secure confines of her office. "Yes, before he was captured, possibly killed," Ilara explained. "He said you'd help me." Vance's expression remained neutral, but something flickered behind her eyes. Recognition, perhaps grief. "Aaron and I worked together for years on Project Lazarus. He was right about everything. And they buried it all." She activated a holographic display showing what appeared to be a global map marked with anomalous genetic clusters. "What exactly is Project Lazarus?" Ilara asked. "Officially, a military program studying genetic enhancements to improve soldier performance," Vance explained, manipulating the display to show a sequence remarkably similar to what Ilara had discovered. "Unofficially, we're identifying and studying the artificial limiters in human DNA, the same ones you found." Over the next hours, Commander Vance revealed the full scope of Project Lazarus, a clandestine military initiative that had been tracking unusual genetic expressions for decades, cataloging individuals who showed signs of breakthrough, spontaneous deactivation of genetic limiters, resulting in abilities that defied conventional human limitations. "We've documented over 300 cases worldwide," Vance explained. "Enhanced cellular regeneration, extreme cognitive processing, sensory capabilities beyond normal parameters. Every breakthrough subject shows deactivation of specific suppressor sequences, the exact sequences you've managed to identify and map." "But who are these archivists Lewis mentioned?" Ilara asked. "And why are they so afraid of human potential?" Vance's expression darkened. "We're not entirely sure. What we do know is that they've had representatives on Earth for at least 2 centuries, working through human proxies. Director Hale is one of them." An alarm suddenly blared through the facility. Vance immediately accessed her security feed. Multiple black helicopters were landing in the compound, disgorging teams in tactical gear. "They found us," Vance stated flatly, grabbing a go bag from beneath her desk. "We need to move." Now, where? Ilara asked, heart pounding as she gathered her own belongings. Antarctica, Vance replied, checking her sidearm. Project Lazarus maintains a backup facility beneath the ice shelf. It's our only chance to continue this work. As they escaped through a maintenance tunnel, the first explosions rocked the compound. Ilara realized with startling clarity that her life as she knew it was over. She had stumbled upon a secret war, one that had been waging silently for generations, fought over the very essence of what humanity could become. The Antarctic facility was unlike anything Ilara had imagined, a vast complex carved into the ice, housing laboratories, living quarters, and training areas. Most surprising were the people, nearly 100 researchers, military personnel, and civilians, all working toward understanding the suppressed potential in human DNA. Among them was Dr. Samuel Chen, a geneticist who had created a compound theorized to temporarily bypass the genetic limiters. "We've tested it on cellular samples," Dr. Chen explained as he showed Ilara and Vance his laboratory. "The results are promising, but we haven't moved to human trials. The risk of systemic failure is too high." "What kind of failure?" Ilara asked. "Catastrophic cellular degradation," Chen replied grimly. "The limiters exist for a reason. They're not just suppressing abilities, they're maintaining stability in our genetic structure. Remove them too quickly, and the subject's DNA could essentially tear itself apart." Their research proceeded rapidly over the next weeks. Ilara's fresh perspective and detailed mapping of the suppressor sequences accelerated their understanding exponentially. Together with Chen's team, they refined the bypass compound, reducing the risks while maintaining efficacy. The breakthrough came unexpectedly during a simulation. Ilara noticed a pattern in the way the suppressor sequences responded to specific electromagnetic frequencies. "They're not just genetic locks," she realized. "They're receivers, tuned to specific frequencies that maintain their function. If we broadcast a counter-frequency." The test results were immediate and stunning. Cellular samples exposed to the modified frequency showed temporary deactivation of suppressor sequences without structural instability. But their success came at a cost. 3 days later, as they prepared for the first cautious human trial, the facility's long-range sensors detected multiple aircraft approaching. "They found us," Vance announced in the emergency briefing. "Estimated time to arrival: 40 minutes. Evacuation protocols are in effect. Priority personnel and research to the submersible bay." Chaos erupted as the facility prepared for evacuation. In the midst of it, an explosion rocked the eastern section. They had arrived earlier than expected. "They must have had a forward team," Vance shouted over the alarms. "We need to move now." As they raced toward the submersible bay, a section of ceiling collapsed, cutting Ilara off from the others. Trapped and with hostiles closing in, she made a desperate decision. She injected herself with the bypass compound and activated the counter-frequency device. The pain was immediate and blinding. Like every cell in her body was being rewritten. She collapsed to the floor, convulsing as the genetic limiters in her DNA temporarily deactivated. When the first tactical team rounded the corner, weapons raised, Ilara was no longer the same person. She perceived the world differently, seeing energy patterns, processing information at impossible speeds. She could sense the electrical impulses in the soldiers' nervous systems, could feel the flow of air molecules around her. Almost without conscious thought, she redirected the energy around her, creating a concussive wave that knocked the entire team unconscious. She stared at her hands in shock, then at the fallen soldiers. "What have I become?" she whispered. Vance found her minutes later, still standing amid the unconscious hostiles. "Ilara, are you hurt?" "No," Ilara replied, her voice steady despite the storm of sensations overwhelming her mind. "I'm evolved." Galactic Reckoning. 6 months after the Antarctic base attack, a new facility had been established deep beneath the Sonoran Desert. Prometheus Base, they called it, named for the mythological figure who stole fire from the gods and gave it to humanity. Dr. Elara Frost stood at the center of the command hub, monitoring the global network they had established. Around the world, more than 500 individuals had now experienced breakthrough, their dormant genetic potential unlocked through the methods she had helped develop. Each reported similar experiences: enhanced perception, accelerated cognitive processing, and unique manifestations of abilities once thought impossible. Neural integration complete, announced Dr. Chen from his workstation. The Prometheus network is now operating at full capacity. The network was their greatest achievement, a secure communication system that utilized the enhanced neural capabilities of breakthrough individuals, allowing instantaneous information sharing without electronic signals that could be intercepted. Commander Vance entered the command hub, her expression grim. "We have a situation. Long-range sensors have detected an object decelerating from superluminal speeds. It's on approach to Earth orbit." "First contact," Elara whispered, the implications settling over the room like a weight. "Or first confrontation," Vance corrected. "Either way, we need to prepare." Within hours, the object had established orbit and broadcast a message on all frequencies in perfect English. "Representatives of Earth governance, we request immediate dialogue regarding genetic anomalies detected on your world. Coordinates for meeting location follow." The coordinates specified a remote location in the Sahara Desert. After urgent deliberation, a response team was formed: Elara, Vance, Chen, and 3 other breakthrough individuals with complementary abilities. If this was indeed first contact with the archivists, they needed to understand what humanity was truly facing. The alien vessel that landed at the meeting site was smooth and featureless, its surface reflecting the desert sun like polished obsidian. As it opened, 3 beings emerged, humanoid in basic form, but with elongated limbs and enlarged cranial structures. Their skin had a faintly translucent quality, revealing hints of a circulatory system unlike anything on Earth. "We are representatives of the Galactic consensus," the foremost being stated, its voice oddly melodic, despite coming through a translation device. "I am Observer Xylos. We have been monitoring your world for anomalous genetic expressions. Our records indicate containment protocols have been breached." "Containment protocols?" Elara stepped forward. "You mean the genetic limiters placed in human DNA?" Observer Xylos's large, multifaceted eyes focused on her. "You are one of the breached specimens. We detect active expression of suppressed sequences." "I am Dr. Elara Frost, and I'm not a specimen," she replied firmly. "I'm a representative of humanity, a sovereign species." "Sovereignty is recognized only for stabilized species," another alien interjected. "Your kind was never intended to reach genetic maturity. You were designed as weapons, and weapons cannot be permitted to achieve self-determination." The revelation struck Elara like a physical blow. "Designed? By whom?" "The precursors," Tylos explained, "a species that existed 10 million years before the formation of the consensus. They created biological weapons for their wars. Adaptive, evolving organisms designed to survive any environment and overcome any defense. Your species was their ultimate creation." "That's absurd," Commander Vance interjected. "Human evolution is well documented. We evolved naturally on Earth." "Your fossil record is incomplete," the third alien stated. "The precursors seeded Earth with your genetic template after establishing basic environmental compatibility. Early human development was guided, accelerated. When the precursor civilization fell, the archivists discovered their weapons caches across the galaxy. Most were deactivated. Your ancestors were different." "Different how?" Dr. Chen asked. "They had already developed rudimentary consciousness." Tylos continued. "The archivists determined genocide would violate consensus principles. Instead, genetic restrictions were implemented to suppress your dangerous potential. You were permitted to develop as a civilization under observation." "Observation," Elara repeated, anger rising within her. "You mean control. Those agents in your service, Director Hale and her organization. They've been suppressing human advancement for centuries. Necessary containment. Xylos corrected. Your species has demonstrated remarkable aggression and dominance instincts even with limitations in place. Without them, you would destabilize the galactic order. Before the conversation could continue, Ilara received an alert through the neural network. Multiple high-energy signatures detected entering Earth's atmosphere. Vance received the same information simultaneously, her expression hardening. "We're being deceived," Vance announced. "This meeting is a distraction. Other forces are moving against our facilities." Phylos's posture shifted subtly. A regrettable necessity. The breach must be contained before it spreads. Your research will be confiscated, and restoration protocols implemented for affected individuals. "You mean lobotomized," Ilara stated flatly. "You'll reverse our breakthroughs and reinstate your control." "For the greater stability of the galaxy," Xylos confirmed without emotion. "The decision is already made. The consensus has spoken." What happened next would later be described as the moment humanity truly awoke. Ilara, along with the other breakthrough individuals present, accessed their enhanced abilities simultaneously. Time seemed to slow as their perceptions accelerated. They could see the energy weapons being drawn by the aliens, could sense the approaching attack craft in the upper atmosphere. Ilara reached out with her mind through the neural network, connecting with every breakthrough individual across the globe. In that moment of perfect unity, humanity's true potential manifested. A shield of pure energy erupted around Earth, created through the combined focus of hundreds of evolved minds. The attacking ships collided with the barrier, their weapons ineffective against a defense that existed beyond conventional physics. Observer Xylos and his companions froze, their expressions showing emotion for the first time. "Fear. Impossible," Xylos whispered. "The suppression protocols are broken," Ilara finished, "and they will remain broken. Humanity will no longer be constrained by limitations imposed without our knowledge or consent." In the days that followed, a tense standoff ensued. More ships from the Galactic Consensus arrived, but none attempted to breach the energy shield maintained by Earth's breakthrough individuals. Instead, a different approach emerged: communication. New representatives arrived, these from species that held different perspectives within the consensus. They spoke of balance, of integration rather than suppression. Some even expressed fascination with humanity's rapid adaptation. "Your species presents a unique case study," explained Delegate Sortal, a representative from a coalition of scientific worlds. "No other race has overcome the genetic block so completely or so quickly. This suggests the precursors designed humans to be their ultimate adaptation project, not merely weapons, but potentially their successors." 3 weeks after first contact, a formal delegation from Earth, led by Ilara, Vance, and a coalition of global leaders, traveled to the Consensus Central Hub, a massive space station at the galaxy's core. There, humanity presented its case for recognition as a sovereign species. "We understand the fears surrounding our origins," Ilara addressed the Consensus Assembly. "But we are more than our design. Through no choice of our own, we carry the legacy of an ancient conflict. Yet that legacy does not define our future." She continued, her enhanced mind allowing her to process and respond to hundreds of subtle reactions throughout the massive chamber. "Humanity offers the consensus something unique. Proof that weapons can become creators, that tools of destruction can choose a different path. We do not seek conflict. We seek understanding, growth, and a place among the stars determined by our choices, not our origins." The debate raged for days. Some factions demanded humanity's potential be permanently curtailed. Others recognized the ethical complexity of constraining an entire species against its will. In the end, a compromise emerged. Humanity would be granted provisional recognition as a developing sovereign species, with monitors rather than suppressors observing Earth's integration into galactic society. "This is merely the beginning," Vance cautioned as their ship returned to Earth. They'll be watching for any sign that we're becoming what they fear. Then we'll show them something different, Ilara replied. The precursors created us as weapons, but they couldn't predict consciousness, empathy, art, music, all the things that make us human. We'll prove we're more than our design. 1 year later, the first human embassy opened on the Consensus Hub. Above its entrance, inscribed in multiple languages, was a simple phrase that had become humanity's unofficial motto among the stars. We defy expectations. Ambassador Ilara Frost stood at the opening ceremony, watching representatives from 100 worlds pass through the doors. Each breakthrough individual on Earth had made a choice. Some used their abilities to advance science and medicine. Others focused on environmental restoration or artistic expression. There had been no wars, no conquest, no aggression against other worlds, confounding the dire predictions of humanity's critics. That evening, as the celebration continued around her, Ilara stepped onto a private balcony overlooking the spectacular galactic core. Commander Vance, now General Vance, Earth's military liaison to the Consensus, joined her. They're still afraid of us, Vance observed, watching the subtle reactions of certain delegates throughout the night. Some still believe we'll eventually show our true nature as weapons. Perhaps they're right to be cautious, Ilara acknowledged. Power always carries responsibility, but fear is a poor foundation for galactic politics. What do you suggest instead? Vance asked. Ilara smiled, looking out at the sea of stars, each one surrounded by worlds to explore, species to understand, knowledge to discover. Wonder, she replied. The same emotion that drove us to look up at the stars long before we knew what they were. Not the desire to conquer, but the desire to understand. As if in response, a notification came through the neural network. Earth's first interstellar vessel, powered by breakthrough technology, had successfully completed its maiden voyage to Alpha Centauri. Humanity's journey among the stars had truly begun. They created us as weapons, Ilara mused, but we get to decide what we fight for. She turned to face the assembly of galactic representatives. And I choose to fight for understanding, for connection, for growth. In the vast chamber beyond the balcony, representatives from across the galaxy watched with a mixture of caution and curiosity as humans mingled among them. The secret buried in human DNA had been exposed, but the truth was more complex than anyone, human or alien, had imagined. Humanity had been designed as the perfect weapon, but had evolved to become something far more interesting, the perfect surprise.